I want to be clear. I don't think there's anything wrong with squirting. If you're somebody who squirts and you do get enjoyment or pleasure out of it, like that is awesome. What I do get fired up about is people feeling like it's this new bar that's been set. Hello and welcome to the Pillow Talks podcast. We're your hosts, Vanessa
and Xander Marin.
I'm a sex therapist with over 20 years of experience.
And I'm just a regular dude. We share the ups and downs in our relationship while giving you step-by-step techniques for improving yours.
Make sure you subscribe for your weekly double date full of totally doable sex tips, practical relationship advice, hilarious and honest stories of what really goes on behind closed bedroom doors, and so much more. It's the sex education you wish you'd had. All right, babe, put on your raincoat. Grab your umbrella. And slip on your galoshes.
I love my sexy galoshes.
Today we are talking about squirting.
Woo!
So this is one of the most popular topics that we get asked about. It is everywhere. And I feel like especially in the last year or couple of years, it's gotten a lot more popular. We're getting more and more questions about it. It's been really interesting for me to watch the history of squirting unfold because in the early stages of my career, I used to get a lot of messages about it, but they were only about how to stop squirting. Women and vulva owners would tell me, I do this thing. It's really embarrassing. I feel like nobody else does it. How do I get it to stop? And so on the one hand, it's been really great that we're talking about it more openly because we're always about trying to normalize things, help people realize there's nothing wrong with you. You're totally normal.
Yeah, squirting has for sure been normalized. Yeah. And then some.
And then some, exactly. So nowadays, everybody wants to know how to squirt or how to make their partner squirt. So it's done this total 180 from what I used to see early in my career. And I think it's gotten to the point where a lot of people feel pressure around it. Like, is there something wrong with me if I don't squirt?
Yeah, it's like pressure, or you feel less than. Like, I can't do it. Something's wrong with me. I'm unfeminine. I'm not enjoying myself to the fullest.
Yep. Oh, yeah. But it's really interesting because a lot of people don't even know what squirting actually is. Yeah. So it's this pressure that we're putting on ourselves and on our partners to do this thing that we don't even fully understand. So today we are going to give you your crash course in everything squirting.
Before we get into that, though, we are going to get into our review of the week, which has nothing to do with squirting, I don't think. I haven't read it yet. But amazing podcast. Love V and X. Oh, no. And then there was more in the headline and it got cut off.
This is quite a title.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
Recently got back into an intimate relationship and intentionally wanted to be more confident and daring in the bedroom since I'm 47 and wasted so many years having mediocre sex. Found this podcast and stopped searching for any others. Oh, seems like I learned something from Vanessa and Xander daily. I enjoy their candor and their relationship so much during the podcast. Sorry, I just got tripped up over my own pronunciation of candor.
Candor.
I said candor, Xandor, Xandor's candor. Let's try that again. Seems like I learned something from Vanessa and Xander daily. I enjoy their candor and their relationship so much during the podcast. Looking forward to learning more and making sex even better than it is right now, which my boyfriend recently said is mind-blowing and earth-shattering.
Ooh,
hell yeah.
Mind-blowing and earth-shattering.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Now, we have a question for you. Do you want a free, mini, personalized coaching session? If you do, then you're not eligible, babe. Sorry.
Damn.
If you do want one, then make sure to enter our Review of the Week giveaway. Every week we pick a review to feature, and if you are the winner, you can message us over on Instagram, and we will give you a free personalized coaching session. It's our little way of saying thank you for leaving reviews. I really don't think people understand just how important reviews are to a podcast. Like, we cannot reach new people and grow the podcast and keep making these episodes without you. So we really, really appreciate you taking the time to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and a star rating on Spotify.
Yeah, and tell your friends about the podcast too. Share it on Instagram. Send a text to a couple people. It helps so much.
Thank you. So let's jump right into it and answer the big question. What is squirting? So squirting is the expulsion of fluid out of a woman's urethra. And this brings us right into the biggest misconception about squirting, which is that a lot of people think, isn't it just pee?
Yeah.
Aren't you just peeing yourself?
Yeah. Or a lot of people come to us and are like, oh my God, I pee during sex. What's wrong with me?
Yeah. And this was a lot of the questions that I was getting earlier in my career about it. A lot of people thinking like, oh my God, I'm just peeing myself. What's happening?
Yeah. People didn't even know the term squirting to apply to this. It was just like, oh my God, I'm pissing myself. How do I stop?
So here's the thing about squirting. It is not urine.
Busted. Myth busted.
It does pass through the urethra, so we have to do a quick little anatomy detour.
All right.
A lot of people don't realize that vulva owners have 3 holes down there.
I have for sure lost a bet about this. I think I was a freshman or a sophomore in college, very embarrassingly, whereas I think you were a lot younger.
Like first grade.
Future sex therapist here, future regular guy making a fool of himself on a drunken night in college.
But hey, that's okay. We've actually polled this before on our Instagram account, like how many holes does a woman have down there? And I think it was something like a third of people thought that there were only 2. So I don't want to shame people for not knowing how many holes there are down there. It's really just evidence of how bad our sex education is, that we don't know these basic information about our, how our bodies work. So there are 3 holes down there. You've got your anus, which you poop out of.
All right, so we're going back to front, right?
Yes, back to front. Anus back there. You've got your vagina, which is where you have intercourse or penetration, if that's part of your sex life.
It's where the babies come out.
True. And there is also the urethra, which is where we urinate out of. So this is, I think, what creates that confusion about, well, isn't it just pee? Because it's coming out of the urethra. So it might have a familiar sort of sensation, and it might even smell a little bit like pee, but it is not urine. It is a fluid that's created by the Skene's glands. And so again, they're coming out through the same hole, the squirt and the urine. So the thing is that there may be traces of urine in ejaculate, but it's not the same thing. It's not that you're just peeing yourself in that moment.
Yeah, and it turns out that the exact same thing happens to men and to penis owners, because when you ejaculate, it comes out your urethra. Okay, confession time. When we don't have it recorded, it's not part of the podcast. But I did actually just stop and confirm with Vanessa, because I myself did not receive the greatest sex education, and I just needed to confirm. Male ejaculate does come out their urethra, right? Like there's not another hole down there.
You didn't know, babe? You got 5 holes down there.
Shit, 5 holes.
5.
Oh, man, I got to go back to school.
No, but 2. Only 2.
Okay, so... yeah, it's the exact same thing for guys. You ejaculate through the urethra. That's why, there is a somewhat similar sensation. Like when you really have to go pee and you
I
start
love that you're
peeing,
like really making this jacking off hand motion over here.
I don't know what that was. That was like a really bad pee.
You've just been like jacking in the air for like the last 30 seconds or so. I'm interested in this.
Great. I'm glad the people can't see it. Really glad we aren't on video right now. Yeah, that's kind of like if you were a guy and you have to pee really bad, it can kind of feel a bit like, for a moment, right, when you start to pee, it's sort of an adjacent feeling to ejaculation.
A little tiny bit of pleasure with
not,
it.
Yeah, it's not quite as good. But it's the exact same thing. If you were to analyze the ejaculate, there's obviously going to be a little bit of urine because it's coming through the same pipe, basically.
And we're going to talk a lot about the ways that we approach cis women and cis men in this episode. And I think this already is an example that there's a lot of shame around squirting, around like, oh, you're just peeing on yourself. And that's so gross and weird. But we're just talking about little traces of urine here. And we don't do the same thing with men, right? You don't hear like, oh my God, he's coming out of the same hole. That's so gross. Like,
yeah, you got to stop. Like, make it come out of somewhere else.
The 4th hole instead.
Yeah, shoot it out your butt. Come out your butt, damn it. But
piss out my ass.
But
We already shared that story on a different podcast.
We did?
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. Piss out my ass.
I don't know.
Xander got in. Someone yelled at Xander once. You'll go back through the podcast episodes. You can find the story.
It was a strange self-deprecating insult that the person gave themselves. It was very confusing. But so yeah, we don't make men feel bad about there being some urine in their ejaculate. Like, oh, don't ejaculate like that. That's gross. It has urine. And on the flip side, we also don't tell guys like just pee during sex too, because that's like it's like an extra ejaculation. It was like we do this to women where it's either like, ew, that squirting is gross, stop that, or it's like, oh my, we fetishize it. It's like, oh my God, you gotta squirt, you gotta squirt, you gotta squirt. Like, who is ever telling guys like, oh, I need a peeing orgasm? Give me a pissing orgasm, please.
Pissing orgasm. That's actually a really interesting example because I don't know
why we didn't think of this one.
We didn't
until just now. Pissing orgasm.
That'll be our new guide. Xander's pissing orgasm. But
oh my God. I could sell piss pills instead of dick pills.
It's an interesting one, though, because I think one of the very few weird things that we do around cis men and sex, or I think men do it to themselves, is like you want to have a lot of ejaculate, like a big load. I'm sure
here's the secret, guys. You don't need a big load. You just need a big piss. Oh, I think I broke Vanessa.
I think you did.
We got to continue. We got to continue with the podcast, babe.
All right. With all this piss talk, we do have to just make sure we say urinary incontinence does exist as well. So if you are worried, like, I don't know, this really looks like pee, it smells very strongly, I'm having incontinence at other times of the day, like, definitely go see a pelvic floor physical therapist. But for the vast majority of people, it is not urine. Okay, some other things to know about squirting. It's usually more of a dribble than an all-out squirt. So I think a lot of people, they hear the word squirting and they think of it like really as like a big squirt or even like a hose. You know,
yeah, I mean, squirting is the wrong term, really, because I think a squirt implies something kind of shooting a bit. Like,
there you go with your jacking off
like
motion.
A male. You know, honestly, like a guy.
Squirt gun.
Yeah, honestly, a guy coming is like squirt. Squirt would be a better term for male ejaculation, to be perfectly honest.
I think a lot of people think more of like a gush for women, of like, no, it's not even that. What's like a high volume, high pressure, it's like a hose kind of thing. Like it's really going to come out. It's going to go
fire hose.
Yeah. It's going to go all the way across the room. It's going to be a lot of fluid. Like it just comes out with pressure.
That's what we see in porn sometimes. And so we get this idea of, oh my God, that's how it should be. But also in porn, you see guys like coming 6 feet across the room. And I don't know about you.
Those piss and orgasms.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I sure don't do that.
So a lot of people who squirt, it tends to be, more of a dribble. You might not even notice that you're doing it because it just comes out and you're doing other things. You don't notice. The amount that can come out can really vary from person to person, but typically it can be only about like a teaspoon, a tablespoon of liquid. So it's not this fire hose kind of experience that a lot of people are expecting.
Yeah, and it's also not like an everyday or a regular occurrence too. Like it may or may not happen when you're having sex, and it can be due to a whole variety of reasons, just like what day it is. It's not like squirting. It's like, oh, squirting Tuesdays. But, it could be like, one day you have sex, you squirt, the next day you have sex, you don't squirt. Yeah. It can really depend on what positions you're in, what body parts are being stimulated, and especially like what type of toys are being used.
Another question that people have is, are all vulva owners capable of squirting? And to that, the answer is we don't really know.
Yeah, sorry.
As you might imagine, it is very difficult to get research funded around squirting. Anything around sexuality in general tends to be hard to fund. Women's sexuality in particular is hard to fund.
If you want to fund some research, hit us up. We'll put something together. Would you like to sponsor some scientific research?
This is a whole new dimension of our business now.
I know, we could raise money for research.
That's actually really cool.
Well, put it on the back. Put it on the list.
It's reminding me of you. You like geeked out about the double-blind studies and a couple of episodes ago. So I know you've got some research background. Maybe we just
it's been a while.
The Marin Research Facility, sexual research. That's actually kind of cool.
The Marin Sex Institute, Sextitude.
Oh, I like it.
That sounds dirty.
The Marin Institute. Okay, so yeah, there isn't a ton of research on this, so we don't know. There's not a great answer to whether or not everybody, all vulva owners are capable of this. There have been a couple of really small studies. There was one that I found with 300 women and only 7 self-reported that they have squirted. In a different study, again, this is a pretty small one, but researchers estimated, I don't know how they estimated, but that 10 to 50% of women will involuntarily experience it at least once in their lives.
Oh, yeah.
Very big range there, right?
Yeah,
10
I'm not
to
sure.
50.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you determine at one point in your life you will do this. Because I can guarantee you for like the last 50 years, they have not been researching this to be like, oh, what's the likelihood at this age and that age and that age? But who knows?
Yeah. So that, honestly, that's some of the best research out there. And that's obviously not very good numbers, right? So
based on the questions that we get about it, it's definitely a number of women can squirt. Yeah. We get a high volume of questions about it. And we get a high volume of questions from people that are like, my partner wants me to squirt. Oh my God, what do I do? I can't do it. So 50-50, less than 50-50, somewhere between 20% and 50% is my guess.
All right.
My very scientific guess.
The most important thing that you need to know about squirting, if there's one thing that you come away from this episode having learned, it is that squirting is not orgasming. Those are two totally different processes. So you can orgasm without squirting and you can squirt without orgasming. This is something that I get so passionate about sharing with women because there are so many women who will message us and say, I feel like my orgasm doesn't count unless I squirted. Like squirting seems to be the sign that it was a really good orgasm, that it even was an orgasm in the first place. And that is just not true. Squirting is a kind of random, involuntary bodily process. It has nothing to do with orgasm. Sometimes it can happen around the same time as orgasm, but it is not the same thing. So if you have never squirted, that does not mean that the pleasure that you've experienced in your body somehow doesn't count.
Yeah, it's a very male-centric way of thinking to assume that squirting must equal orgasm, because I think that idea comes from, for a man, when he ejaculates, that's nearly always an orgasm. Like there's a close to one-to-one correlation there. And therefore, when something visually similar happens to a woman, then these two things must be tied together. But we know that what works for women is not the same as what works for men. So we got to get rid of this idea that like, oh, well, if this is how it is for a guy, it must be like that for a woman.
Absolutely. And actually, you bring up a really good point because most people don't realize that for a penis owner, orgasm and ejaculation are actually separate processes. They are more linked than they are for vulvas. And you're right that like 99.9% of the time, they tend to happen like within the same millisecond of each other. So it's really easy to think of them as the same thing, but they actually are separate bodily processes. So the thing that makes squirting really interesting is that for the vast majority of people who experience it, it is not really that pleasurable. So it can be pleasurable if it's coming around the same time as an orgasm because your orgasm, it's what's pleasurable. But the physical act of fluid coming out of your urethra is not inherently pleasurable in and of itself. Like a few minutes ago, you mentioned peeing, that there can be like, there's a little bit of a like,
the immediate release. And it's like, once you start, then it's like, okay, cool, now I'm just peeing.
Yeah, but I don't think that most people would not describe peeing as, oh, it's so pleasurable. I just can't wait to pee.
Can't wait.
And actually, for a lot of people, the feeling of squirting can be uncomfortable or unwanted. So I just pulled 2 quotes that people sent us over Instagram. One woman said, I hate the feeling of it. It feels like overstimulation, burning, wetting yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if I think about what peeing would feel like if I was in the middle of like highly pleasurable sex, it feels like it would be too much, like conflicting feelings going on. Like, no, like I don't want this. It's too much.
Another person said, I do squirt a lot of fluid and it's such an inconvenience. We've tried everything, towels, extra comforters, but I soak through all of it. We had to get a protective cover for our mattress, like the kind you use for kids who wet the bed. Even then, we still have to clean all the sheets and blankets after sex. It creates a huge barrier around intimacy. So this is obviously somebody who squirts a much higher volume than is typical, but I've heard stuff like this, from other people before of like, it's such an inconvenience and it doesn't even feel that good. Or, I remember there was somebody else who told me, I do it and my partner gets so fixated on it and wants it to happen every single time and be this, we're going to talk about partner stuff in a second, but bottom line is that for a lot of people, it's just not really that enjoyable of an experience.
Yeah,
right?
It is not what it looks like in porn. I think in porn, they make it look really pleasurable. They often make it look like it's happening around the same time as orgasm. And I mean, in reality, in porn, I think squirting most of the time is actually people just peeing, right? Like they're performing. They're doing something that they think you want to see, and you are eating it up, and you are getting these ideas in your head about what it really is, when in fact it is not actually like that at all. Exactly. It's kind of like faking orgasm. They are faking peeing. They are faking orgasms. Like,
no, they're real peeing. They're
sorry. They are faking squirting. They are real peeing. They are faking orgasms. Like, it is entertainment, people. It is not reality.
Absolutely. So squirting gets me really fired up because it becomes this performative thing. Like I was saying at the beginning of the episode, I'm glad we're talking about it more openly, but now I'm seeing it create all this pressure on cis women in particular, this feeling like, oh, now it's this thing that I have to do and my partner really wants to see it and they want it to happen every time and they're not going to be satisfied unless I do. So
fuck those partners.
Don't fuck those partners.
Yeah, don't fuck them. Fuck them, but don't fuck them. Fuck them, don't fuck them. I like that.
Fuck them, but don't fuck them. I want that on a
tote
bag.
I was going to say
sweatshirt.
that.
Fuck them, but don't fuck them. So, yeah, I mean, I want to be clear. I don't think there's anything wrong with squirting. If you're somebody who squirts and you do get enjoyment or pleasure out of it, like, that is awesome. What I do get fired up about is people feeling like it's this new bar that's been set.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to satisfy your partner or you're not going to have a good enough experience unless you do it.
Yeah, if you do it, great. If you do it and you enjoy it, great. If you do it and you enjoy it and your partner also enjoys it, great. But if you don't do it, there is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing less than. Your partner also needs to get on board with like, hey, we are going to do what feels good to us. And it's the seeing my partner experience pleasure is the thing that is good for me. It's not like these external things that I have to see.
Yeah, I think there's just a way that a lot of women feel like we have to be circus monkeys of like experiencing pleasure in the exact right way that our partner is going to like or that we're supposed to.
Or even that we think our partner would like because of what we hear other people say or what we see in porn or whatever. I mean, so much of this comes back to like, we don't actually ever have a conversation about what we really do like. And we just go, oh, I got to do it the way I saw it, saw that other person do it because that's what guys like.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we wanted to do a little experiment here. When we were thinking about what we wanted to share in this episode, I kept coming back to we don't do this shit to cis men. Like, we don't have all these ways that men are supposed to perform and things that they're supposed to do. Like, there's so much more pressure on women than on men, and it obviously gets me fired up. So we decided to do a little experiment on Instagram, and we got very different results than we were expecting.
I think Vanessa was expecting one thing. I was expecting another thing. I was right. I'm putting right in quotes. I'm not surprised. Let's put it that way. So here's what we did.
I tried to think of what's an example of something similar that a man's body could do, like a cis man's body. Something that it's not related to pleasure, it's not related to orgasm. Maybe it might feel visually interesting to some women or some, partners. What we did is we put this poll up and we said, we've discovered a technique that can give men muscle spasms in their pecs during sex. That was just the example that came to me first. I was like, a little puffed up pec muscle dancing around like a little Magic Mike situation.
Would it be alternating?
Yes.
When I imagined it, all I could think of was alternating, like pecs moving up and down.
I was like, okay, some partners might find this like, ooh, that's kind of interesting. That's sort of sexy. I like that.
Sadly, we had not thought of the piss and orgasm yet.
I'm so sad.
I'm curious what the results would have been had we been like, hey, want to try Xander's piss and orgasm? They might have been different, but all right, let's talk about what results we got.
Okay, so we said we've discovered this technique. If you have a male partner, ask him if he would be interested in learning this. And my hypothesis going into this experiment was that men were going to say no. Like, why would I want to learn this? I don't care. It's just my muscles. Like, that's not going to feel good for me. Who cares? So I was expecting a very low, like 10, 20% of people saying yes. Instead, we got 64%. So my reaction was like, what the fuck? Like, why do these guys want to learn this magic peg dancing technique? I don't get it. But Xander had a totally different thought process.
Well, I have a couple different hypotheses, I guess. But, one of them is that it's just like, we hear about something new. We hear about something that feels like, oh, this is going to make me be real manly, real good at sex. This is the new hot thing. And like, you want to be able to do it.
It's like a trend. I think that's true for people of all genders. Yeah, like and I think that's a really good point that like we hear some things start to be talked about more and we're like, oh, should I be doing that too? Is everybody else doing that? Like we talk a lot about how people have this tendency to feel like we're not normal for whatever it is that we experience, like that we're alone, we're weird. And so I think you're totally right that maybe there's this sense of like, oh, the pecs dancing during sex, is that a new thing everybody's doing? Yeah, sure, I want to learn how to do it too.
Yeah, probably like sort of a peer pressure aspect. But I think that layered on top of that, there's probably a whole dynamic of like the way that we pose that question. We put it on Instagram. The vast majority of our Instagram followers are women. So women are asking their male partner, there's this new thing I heard about. Would you be into trying it? And that's very similar to the squirting conversation, where it's probably like guys are like, oh, I saw this thing in porn. Let me ask my partner. Like tell her I want her to do this. And so there's this added layer of like, oh, my partner is asking me if I can do this. But behind that, there's maybe this implicit, like, to be super sexy, you got to be able to do this. And then it triggers that desire to perform.
So maybe we should have put the poll up about, like, if you're the penis owner, would you want to do it?
Yeah, like, would you enjoy doing this during masturbation or something like that?
Very interesting. Okay, so let's kind of transition into that. Like, I want to know from you, what is up with men's fascination about squirting? Why do you think this has become such a thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I am curious, like, what is it in the last year or couple of years that has turned the tide? Because, yeah, it's more common in porn, I imagine. That being said, it's not like it was never shown in the past. So, I mean, obviously, porn has a lot to do with it. People see it and they go, oh, that looks cool. Or like, I don't know. I mean, like, guys get so many ridiculous ideas from porn about like what sex should and shouldn't be and how they think they need to have sex, what it needs to look like, etc.
Do you think it comes from the, like, what you were saying earlier about, you know, penis owners, like, oh, yeah, this is how orgasm happens for me, is that there's this visual element to it.
Yeah. I think that plays a huge role. You know, in your mind, it quickly becomes a visual representation of what coming is.
Like, you got a gold star, you made her come, look at all the...
Yeah, it's like,
squirt pouring out of her.
Yeah, look at that, you know, like, there's evidence. It turns out it's not real evidence, but you know, it's like there's visual evidence that I did something, and it's also, you know, I think as a guy, like, some guys get enjoyment out of seeing themselves come. Like, there's sort of this sexy thing of like seeing visual evidence of what just happened.
What is that about? Why do you think it's sexy to like see yourself come?
Oh God, I mean, that's a really good question. I don't think I can untangle like where that came from. Like, the first thing I always think of is like, well, that's what you see in porn. I can't really think back to like, oh, did I really enjoy this on my own before I saw that? I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't really tell you. I mean, if I think about it, it's like you hear guys talk to guys about like, oh yeah, like I came all over her tits.
I love your dude voice. It's so weird.
Yeah, bro, like where'd you come on her? So there's that. But like, where's that coming from? Like, that's probably also coming from porn. It all comes back to porn, probably. I can't really... Yeah, I don't know. I like early on when I first started masturbating, doing it like in the dark in my room. I wasn't really in a position to be like, oh, let's see what happens. It's like, oh, let's do this quick before, in case I'm going to get found out, even though it's the middle of the night, like mom's not walking in the middle of the night.
You know what this is reminding me of is, we're working on a book for Simon & Schuster. And one of the stories that I share in the book is this man who's talking about him and his fiance. He was saying that she is so uncommunicative during sex, like no moaning, no, requests, no feedback. She's so uncommunicative that he's like, I just don't really know. Is she having a good time? Is she enjoying herself? Sometimes it seems like she's getting kind of wet, and I think maybe then I'm on the right track. And so I talk in the book about how wetness is actually not an indicator of arousal for a vulva. And so I'm like, this poor man is so lost about his partner's experience. His one clue, he's got one clue that he's clinging to, and it's not even an accurate one.
Yeah.
So I wonder if a lot of this also comes down to men feeling like they're not getting feedback from their partner. And so they're relying on these external signals. And like, what feels more external than like, yeah, there's a gushing all over the place. I did a great job.
All right, so let's transition now into how to approach squirting as the partner of a woman or vulva owner. The first number one thing that we want to say, hopefully you're prepared for this by now. I think we've teed it up pretty nicely. Please do not pressure your partner to squirt.
Yeah, we've heard a lot about men saying shitty things to their partner, like, all my past partners could squirt, or like, I'm not going to be satisfied unless I make you do it. Just really making women and vulva owners like feel so bad about not being able to. Don't do that. Don't
make it all about your ego. I think so many things go wrong in relationships when men make it about, like, make her orgasm about your ego. Make, so many things about your ego. You're setting yourself up to like not ever get good feedback from your partner because she's going to be worried about hurting your ego, or she's going to want to fake orgasms for your ego. She's going to want to like try to figure out how to squirt instead of focusing on her own pleasure for your ego. Like it is not cool. All right. Number 2, do not accuse her of not orgasming if she didn't squirt. Hopefully after listening to this, now squirting does not equal orgasm. Orgasm does not equal squirt. So yeah, don't ever accuse your partner of not really orgasming. I think even if your partner is faking an orgasm, it's not cool to be like, did you really orgasm? No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yeah, not chill.
That's not going to be cool. So yeah, I mean, the focus of sex should be on her pleasure, not the visual embodiment of that pleasure, or like the fake visual embodiment of that pleasure in this case.
And also, I mean, kind of on the flip side of things, don't make her feel bad if she does squirt. Like, it's an involuntary bodily function. Don't make her feel like it's this inconvenience or you wish she wasn't doing it. Like, just don't be a dick. That's kind of the bottom line of this section.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is don't make it a big deal. Don't make it a big deal in a positive way. Oh my God, that was so hot. Now you always have to do that. It's the only way that I know that I've really pleasured you. Or in a negative way, like, why can't you squirt? What's or like, stop squirting. It's so gross. Like, you're going to make your partner feel self-conscious. When you feel self-conscious, you're less likely to experience pleasure during sex. So, if you're a guy listening to this, let's try to draw a parallel to what this could be like for you, making a big deal about something that happens during sex in either a positive or a negative way. Let's say you're a guy, you have a performance issue, maybe you lose your erection during sex, and your partner makes a really big deal of it, and you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Oh God, I've totally failed my partner, and I'm failing as a man, blah, blah, blah. Think about what is it going to feel like the next time you have sex. You're probably going to be like, oh my God, I cannot do that again. It's going to be such a big deal if I do that again. Oh my God. That's not going to feel good. And that's basically what you are making your partner feel like. If you're like, oh my God, you have to squirt, or like, oh my God, don't squirt. Like, it's just, that's not cool. On the flip side, let's say that your partner's like, when you come like across the room, it's so hot. The only way I know that I've given you a great orgasm is if you shoot your cum like 6 feet across the room.
It's a small room.
12 feet across the room. Let's really raise the stakes here. It's like you better shoot that shit as far as you can.
Wow.
Like that. What are you going to feel like in the future?
That's the tagline for Xander's Piss and Orgasm.
shoot that shit across the room. But, like, maybe you do ejaculate really far one day and it like kind of surprises you. And your partner goes, oh my God, you got to do that all the fucking time.
Yeah.
What are you going to feel like next time? You're going to be like, oh my God, am I going to be able to do it? Am I going to be able to do it? And then you don't do it. And then the next time you're like, oh my God, I didn't do it last time. What am I going to do? Like, it's just, this is what it feels like. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. So I would say really only explore squirting if your partner brings it up and your partner is genuinely curious and interested and excited. But I think like especially as a male partner, like just don't even start that conversation because it's so quick to lead to feelings of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, there's like that dynamic that comes up that we just talked about when it came to our sort of fake Instagram poll that we did about the pet contractions, where it's like, if your partner comes to you with something, oh my God, I heard that there's this new sexy thing and like, would you be interested in it? You know, you feel that like, oh my God, I feel like I should be able to do that to really be a man or really be a woman or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. There's that whole dynamic that comes up. So if you bring it up to your partner, like, hey, it would be really hot if you did this, there's another layer of meaning that's going to be added on to that.
Yeah. Okay, so we wanted to just run through a few tips if you are somebody who does squirt. So first of all, like, I hope we've normalized it for you and you recognize, like, this is something that some people do. We don't really know how many or have this good explanation for why, but, like, it's normal. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, you may decide if you're with new partners, like, to tell them before sex or not. It's kind of up to you to, like, feel into that, but I hope that you can approach that conversation feeling unashamed and lighthearted and knowing, again, that this is just a natural thing.
Yeah, and if you're a guy and you figured out how to have a piss and orgasm, I would also recommend maybe giving your partner some warning. Just kidding. No, there is no piss and orgasm.
Oh, thank you for making
that clear. Not yet. Just wait, I'm going to be behind the scenes here. I'm going to be working on my technique.
And your Marin Institute.
Yeah, I'm going to figure this out and then shock the world.
You're just asking people to donate money to your own personal research project here.
To the Piss and O Fund.
Okay, so a little logistical detail that you can do is, in general, waterproof blankets can be your friend. I know we mentioned the story of someone earlier who has such a high volume that they're not useful, but for the vast majority of cases, you can look for waterproof blankets, sex blankets specifically made for sex.
Yeah, especially if you don't want to be reminded of like the blankets that you put on the bed for kids who had the bed. You know,
yes.
It's a sex blanket. It is not for kids.
Yeah, so that can make cleanup a whole lot easier if you just have a couple of those on hand, you know, put it down on the bed, put it in the wash, and, you know, clean up later, that whole kind of thing. Now let's transition and wrap this up with, what do you do if you want to learn how to squirt?
Yeah, so you're probably listening to this and you're probably like, all right, I hear them, I get it. It's not something that I should obsess about, but I still want to learn.
I still kind of want to do it.
But I still just want to try.
So I want to be honest with you. We actually just didn't want to include this section of the podcast because squirting has taken on such a performative element to it. And there are so many people who are wanting to do it only because they feel like they're supposed to, or something's wrong with them, or they're behind the curve for not doing it. So we really went back and forth about, like, should we even talk about this or not? But we did, you know, we always, I think, come down on the side of giving you information.
Yeah, we don't want to withhold.
Yeah, letting you guys make the decision that feels best for you. So if you are approaching this from a genuine sense of curiosity of like, okay, I get that I don't have to do it. I get that it's not going to feel inherently pleasurable in and of itself, but I'm still kind of curious about my own body and curious about, you know, what it's capable of, then we'll share some tips with you. Typically, the kind of stimulation that you need to create squirting is stimulation to the interior portion of the clitoris. So a lot of people don't realize that the clitoris is not just the little nub of skin that you see. It also extends up into the body and it splits off into these two legs.
We have some highlights about this on our Instagram account, right?
Yes, definitely.
The golden clitoris.
Yes, check out our orgasm highlight on Instagram. I'll show you like a whole model of exactly how it works. So it is, you know, the interior portion of it You often hear this referred to as the G-spot. We actually don't like using the term G-spot because it makes it sound like it's some top secret, really special spot. It's not. It's the clitoris. It's still the clitoris. We got to give the clitoris the respect that it deserves.
And the reality with the way the internal part of the clitoris works is that for some women, it is closer to the vaginal canal, and for some women, it is not. So I think when we use this term, the G-spot, we imply like, oh, everyone's got this one spot. You just got to find it. And the reality is, depending on your anatomy, like this interior portion of the clitoris may be more accessible or it may not. And there's nothing that we can do to change that.
Yeah. So typically, the motion that you want to do is to have your partner insert their hand palm up into you and to make kind of like a come here motion with one or two fingers. They're kind of curling their fingers upwards.
Yeah, we should say insert your fingers, not your
whole hand. Did I say your whole hand?
Yeah, you said insert your hand. And I was kind of thinking, it's like, I don't think that's what, I was like, are people going to, we're going to get a lot of questions about that. No,
fingers.
Please don't insert your whole hand, just insert two fingers.
Yes, two fingers. You would be lying on your back, so you're facing up. So the person is, they're reaching up, they're stroking. It's called the anterior wall of the vagina. It's basically the wall that is beneath your stomach, the top half of it. So you would be lying on your back, your partner's inserting their fingers, their palm up, curling their fingers upwards into a come here motion. So stroking kind of the top part of your vagina.
Yeah, so it's like top if you're lying on your back, or if you were standing up, it would be like the front.
Yeah, like under your stomach, basically. So the kind of movements typically are small and tight, more of like a massaging kind of motion than
a penetration.
Yeah, it's not like a going in and out kind of thing. It's like you're using your fingertip to massage that area. In general, it does need to be pretty intense stimulation because you're going through the walls of the vagina. So you need like more stimulation to be able to like make the clitoris feel good.
Yeah, but you would really need to give feedback to your partner because like we were saying, everyone's anatomy is different. So it's not just like, we're not just going to be like, oh, it has to be super intense because that might be too intense for you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll also put in a plug for Enjoy, NJOY. We'll put a link to their toys in our show notes. But they make a really great toy called the Pure Wand that is curved. It has got a nice ball on the end. It's made of medical grade stainless steel, so it's body safe. It's a really great toy for stimulating that interior portion of the G-spot, and it's curved really well to give you good leverage. Because one of the things that happens when people try to squirt is that it just takes so much intensity of stimulation and so much time that like your hands get really fucking tired.
And like we said, it tends to not be the most pleasurable thing either. So it's like you're spending all this time and effort to do something that may feel really intense and not very good.
Yeah.
And just distract from everything else. So kind of sounds like a fool's errand, so to speak, when you put it in those terms.
So the toy can work really well, and it's also great because you can use it on yourself. In general, like you're probably not going to be able to make yourself squirt with masturbation because it's hard to touch yourself in the way that you need to for an extended period of time and with that intensity.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the come hither myself in the way that you would need to, and it doesn't. It's hard. It's so weird. Hard. It's a forearm workout.
First you were doing your jack off motion, now you're doing your come
hithering.
So those are our suggestions. You can also try doing this in the shower or the bathtub if you're nervous about like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Is it going to be pee? How much fluid is there going to be? Use the restroom beforehand so your bladder is empty, and you could do it in the bathtub so that you, in an empty bathtub, so that you have just that peace of mind of knowing you're not going to get it everywhere. But bottom line is, do not feel bad if you can't do it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we do not know if all vulva owners are even capable of squirting because we don't have enough funding to do our research.
The Mer Institute.
So donate to the Mer Institute. I'm just kidding. That does not exist yet. Please don't donate quite yet unless you want to donate to Xander's Piss and O's.
I would say, explore it if you feel curious, but don't beat yourself up if you can't do it, or if you kind of lose that like, okay, this is just not that exciting. It's not that interesting to me. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even if you do figure out how to do it, like the likelihood is that you're going to be like, this kind of sucks. And what you risk is you risk like showing your partner and then they fixate on it. And then you feel like you're stuck having to do this thing. Like it's kind of a lose-lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated situation, you know, and I think, again, we just want to remind people that it's a normal process. There's nothing to be ashamed of. We're not saying, like, if you squirt, you have to stop doing it at all. But I just think it can be a lot more complex than a lot of people realize. And our bottom line is always, like, let's explore our bodies. Let's feel as much pleasure as we can, but let's not put pressure on ourselves or each other for that pleasure to take one specific form. All right, well, that brings us to the end of our squirting episode. And if you are a woman who is curious to learn more about her body and what brings her pleasure, and especially if you've never had an orgasm before, then I just wanted to make sure you knew about our course, Finishing School. It is an incredibly comprehensive step-by-step course that teaches you everything you need to know to experience intense pleasure and orgasms on your own and with your partner. There is some information about squirting, but that is absolutely not the core of the course. It's really all about experiencing genuine pleasure and feeling more comfortable in your own body, more confident in the bedroom, and just more authentic in your own sexuality. So we'll put a link to check that out in the show notes. It's our flagship course. It is such an amazing journey. So
yeah, we have changed thousands and thousands and thousands of women's lives.
It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool course.
It's pretty cool.
We have a podcast episode all about the story of like creating that course and my own orgasm struggle. So maybe we will link to that episode as well if you want to learn more about it.
All right, well, that's it for today's episode of Pillow Talks. Thank you so much for listening. Join us again next week when we talk about Xander's Piss and O. Just kidding. No, next week we are going to talk about how to prioritize sex in a relationship.
See you next week.